A young woman, Elara, with a determined yet slightly melancholic expression, standing in a dimly lit municipal archive filled with towering shelves of dusty files. Through a large, arched window in the background, a massive, ornate, but visibly failing clockwork structure, the Chronos Heart, looms over a steampunky city, its hands barely moving. This passion was a purely intrinsic drive, a fire fueled by the satisfying click of a perfectly aligned escapement and the smooth sweep of a second hand. Her external environment, including her parents and the apathetic city, actively discouraged her, viewing her hobby as a high-risk waste of time compared to her safe, pensioned archive job. Elara's initial motivation was purely mastery and self-reward. She studied schematics and repaired antique watches in a borrowed workshop, finding a meditative state in the process of repair. She sought out Silas, the oldest man in the Mechanics Guild and former overseer of the Heart. Silas, recognizing her raw, intrinsic need to fix things, gave her an extrinsic goal to test her resolve. Repair the old tower clock, a smaller, forgotten satellite clock that had been stopped for 20 years. The promise was access to the restricted Heart schematics and his mentorship. This tangible challenge crystallized her vague, intrinsic desire into an achievable target, providing necessary extrinsic validation and direction. Elara immediately quit her archive job, ignoring her parents' fury. The promise was access to the restricted Heart schematics and his mentorship. This tangible challenge crystallized her vague, intrinsic desire into an achievable target, providing necessary extrinsic validation and direction. Elara immediately quit her archive job, ignoring her parents' fury. She spent 3 months in the tower, tackling massive gears, forging replacements, and mastering geometry and leverage. The act of problem-solving was her primary reward. After 3 months, she succeeded. The clock began to beat with a perfect, synchronous sound, filling her with a surge of triumph and pure intrinsic satisfaction. This satisfaction was monumental. However, just hours before Silas's inspection, the gear she had meticulously forged, a critical component of the strike mechanism, failed catastrophically, shattering into pieces. The mechanism seized and the pendulum stopped. The absolute failure crushed Elara. The intrinsic joy vanished, and the unmet extrinsic goal, Silas' approval/mentorship, left her with a suffocating weight of disappointment. She felt a failure of skill and was ready to surrender her ambition to return to the archives. Silas arrived, and instead of chastising her, he simply handed her a small, leather-bound notebook, the apprenticeship fee paid in full. The notebook contained his memoir of failures and doubts, not schematics. A key passage stated, "If your motivation is only the chime of success, you will live in silence." This was the revelation Elara needed. She realized she had made her intrinsic love for the craft conditional on the extrinsic result of success, leading to failure. Her true passion was the process of repair, divorced from public validation or singular triumph. To recalibrate her motivation, she worked on a tiny, broken music box, a task more difficult than the tower clock, but one she did purely for the intrinsic purpose of making it whole again. The small, clear melody that emerged was more satisfying than the boom of the tower. Her motivation was now intrinsic purpose applied externally. Just as she finished, the Chronos Heart suffered a terminal failure, plunging Veridia into total, chaotic silence. Elara rushed to the guild hall, where engineers were panicking, overwhelmed by the machine's confusing, over-engineered schematics. Elara stepped forward. Ignoring the contradictory schematics, she announced that the flaw was the Heart's overly complex design. Guided by her deep understanding of simple, robust clock principles, mastered through the small music box, she began to strip away the unnecessary complexity. She worked for 18 straight hours, driven purely by the quiet, internal satisfaction of solving the puzzle and bringing order to the machine. She removed 3 superfluous gears and installed a simple, spring-loaded buffer for redundancy. The main drive engaged. Tick, tock, The consistent beat instantly synchronized the city's secondary clocks. The pulse of Veridia returned. The engineers roared with relief, but Elara's true reward was the deep, bone-weary internal satisfaction. Her motivation had reached its final, mature form. Intrinsic purpose applied externally. She was appointed the new keeper of the Chronos Heart, accepting the title not for the praise, but because the job meant the perpetual, quiet task of beautiful maintenance. She understood that the greatest machines require not grand ambition, but simple, elegant, and motivated precision. Please subscribe our channel.